welcome to this episode of Mandos. I'm your host, Mandalorian, the X-Wing Jesus, and we're going to be hosting Banter boxes. So this is Mando's Banter boxes. I've got with me Ham Solo, smuggler of quality meat products. Give us a wave, Ham.
Hi.
We've got C3 Barlow and he is a human cyborg relation of a protocol droid. So how you doing, dude?
Yeah, all good, mate. You?
Having some camera problems, though, aren't we, today? So
of course, mate.
It's all in the course of things. Right. So today, I thought we would start. That's me just setting my timer so I know how long we've spent. So I thought we'd start. There was quite a big debate going on with what was that?
Nothing.
Have you got a mini lightsaber there or something?
Well, it's called a lightsaber. It's like a lightsaber for cutting your bread and buttering your bread.
Ah, right. Okay.
That big.
So anyway, I digress. So what we've had literally yesterday, I think there was an announcement that we've waited over 2 months from Atomic Mass Games. This is a gaming episode, by the way, X-Wing and Legion players. So Atomic Mass have actually come out and they've given us some actual news that they're going to give us some news in a couple of weeks' time. So we're all looking forward to that. But I think what kicked that off is it started going into a bit of meltdown on the X-Wing page. We'll briefly talk about Legion first, because there's a big difference between how the Legion players look at things to how the X-Wing players look at things. Now, I know Ham doesn't really do Legion, so it's just sort of me and you, C3 Barlow. So, I've just been modelling the miniatures and stuff like that, not really had any games for quite a while now. But
yeah.
On their page, they are really positive about everything because they're still seeing releases. I think there's some this week with the Clone Wars specialists. Everything's really, really positive, and they're doing a lot of 3D printing, converting, and all sorts of stuff. And they are really, really positive groups on there. But they don't seem to be that bothered about Atomic Masses taking over of everything than everybody else. They've just got the same problems with the X-Wing players have got with supply and demand. So demand far outstrips what we actually want to buy. When we look at what we order as a local gaming group, we never get what we actually ask for. It's an absolute nightmare. We can bring in the X-Wing stuff now because we order well in advance. We pre-order, don't we? And C3, you've had one of the orders for the group as well, haven't you? We end up we order 3 or 4 ships of each thing, and we end up with 1 each.
Oh God!
Or we might get 2 if it's our sort of turn to get 2. Absolute nightmare.
Your local gaming shop is actually saying, "Do you know what, chaps? Might as well order it somewhere else. You know, there's something wrong." Because if he can't get hold of the stock, and I think it's not just him. The vibe I'm getting is all independent, friendly local game shops have got the same problem. They can't get hold of that stuff for love nor money. So, the last round of things, I like buying a few bits and pieces. I've recently started buying into. I'm now buying into all 7 factions, which is ridiculous. But I was trying to get hold of the new Jedi ETA 2 info. What's it?
Actis, yeah.
That's the fella. Very hard to get hold of. I was going to say rocking horse poo, but you get the idea. It's very hard. You got 4?
Yeah.
After 2, you're not going to use them. Give it a shout. I'll have to take a couple of your hands.
C3 because he put me onto a site that went, "Hey, this site I've been using to get mine." And I went, "Really?" He went, "Yeah, you can get a list with 4 in it." And I was like, "Right, okay." And I got in there and I got the last 2. I was
yeah.
but I've not actually used it yet. So
That's the thing. I mean,
Got
the other
lot-
thing, look at that particular
different
ship.
builds with 4 of them in it. So really,
Yeah,
it's
looking at that particular ship, and I'm starting to think actually I probably wouldn't ever fly more than 2 in a list anyway, because what looked like I was really up for them before they were launched, but then you look at them afterwards and you go, ooh. But anyway, that's another story. We're not talking about supply and demand here. We're just talking about that. Well, that starts down a conversation of what's hot and what's not, which let's steer off from that. But in general terms, just getting hold of the stuff is becoming hard. I'm just trying. Nowhere's got that particular ship in stock anywhere, and I obviously have to wait till payday to get money to get hold of it. So by the time payday comes, that's it. I'm out of luck.
Yeah, I mean, the big problem is the distributors are obviously prioritizing the big orders. So our small stores that cater to small groups just aren't getting the stock, which then we have to go elsewhere, as our shopkeeper said, and he's losing money. And are we worried about our store staying open?
Vicious cycle. But I mean, to be honest, it's gotten to a stage where it feels almost like he's almost exclusively looking to pretty much give in ordering a particular line just because he can't get hold of it, and that can't be good for anything, because I think one of the conversation type topics that's come up, one lines of conversation about the state of the game, is what's happening with players. Version 2, one of the main points about version 2 for X-Wing, and Legion's a bit newer, so you don't have that problem, is getting them into the game in the first place, getting new people on board. So you've got a situation where if you haven't got the split shopping stuff in the shop, then how are you going to convince new people to come on board? And no one's going to be playing it in the shop because they haven't got it. So it's a vicious cycle of no interest, no visibility, no one buying it, no one playing it. I mean, that on the counterpoint to that is I'm seeing an awful lot of people showing up on Facebook groups what I has signed up to, who's saying that they were version 1 players, and all of a sudden they're starting to think about coming to version 2 because lockdown's pretty boring, so they're trying to think of things to do with their kids and with their mates and stuff. So they're looking at getting back into the game, which is great. But where do you if you want to get a conversion kits are now getting really hard to get hold of because they've all sold out and they're not going to reprint them. So I think this is where we start coming to the conversation about what do we think Atomic Mass are going to do next.
Well, apparently somebody was saying that there is a schedule for the next 3 years for releases.
Yeah, so, but then there's nothing to say.
They haven't got a roadmap of what's coming out. But I think what Atomic Games are going to do, they're going to go, Vice Spray's out, and everybody will go, way, and that'll be it. It'll be like, the universe is saved. We've got Din Djarin, and we've got Baby Yoda, and we've got this, that, and the other. Probably coming out at Easter.
Yeah. So the doom and gloom point I've got here is I don't think a Mandalorian expansion is going to save X-Wing. I don't think a Rogue Squadron expansion is going to save X-Wing.
Well,
I think the problem is.
Did you say about Rogue Squadron? That's one step. That's happening one step after the Resistance. So that's way ahead on the time.
Oh yeah, you've got.
Does that even fit into the Resistance faction with that timeline, or is that a complete new thing?
Well, even before
they're not going to be T70s, are they? They're going to be one step on, probably maybe a T85 or something like that.
Faction 8 and 9, eh?
But I mean, you're talking to get to Rogue Squadron. You've got to get through Ahsoka. You've got to get through the Lando TV show that's coming out. You've got to get through the book of Boba Fett, which is coming out. You've got to get to Mandalorian Series 3. Before they even get to Rogue Squadron, you've got about 6. Oh, Cassian Andor, I forgot that one. And the High Republic.
They will start next year, though. That's
exactly. But Rogue Squadron's not due to come out until 2023, is it?
What's that?
Rogue Squadron's not due out till 2023.
Yeah, there's a film before that called The Acolyte coming out.
Wow. I haven't even heard about that one, so that's good news.
Yeah. Oh, that's probably a Sith Acolyte that's all about. They're all going dark side.
Nice.
So,
but the point is,
I don't really know that much about that other than the title.
I think there's a lot of confusion and concern about what Atomic Mass's game plan is. Just having the models coming out, I don't think is going to change anything other than there's more models available. the fundamental thing is the more you're diluting what's available, you know, you need to sort of go back in and streamline things a little bit, because you've got so many little quirks, so many little functions at the moment. I think there's a really good opportunity, if not to bring out a third edition, but just streamline and just condense some of the rules types at the moment. So for X-Wing,
there's a lot of new tokens, and we were talking about lots of things, weren't we, the other day?
Yeah.
I could bring in ground attack, a ground attack version using the same ships. Where you go, wow, I've got AT-ATs and all this sort of stuff at a smaller scale. That would be very
Defense turrets.
well, I think I remember a couple of years ago, was it Lee? Lee Wilson was talking about having a game of Legion, or I think it might have been Armada, and then having a game of Armada, game of X-Wing, and a game of, was it Imperial Assault or Legion or something like that? So you can have sort of like a tournament where you've got all three stages. You've got the meta, and then you've got the breakout section. So you can do this, and then the outcome of one game goes off to another. Yeah. Really exciting.
We had nobody to play Armada though. That was the thing.
That's one problem.
So it would scale really nicely, but it was like, oh. So I think Depot had taken over the grand scale, the biggest scale of Imperial Assault, called Ground Assault, and he was taking over doing that. Couldn't get it.
But I think definitely the idea is great, and if Atomic Mass could somehow do some sort of linkage into those games, because they're all very separate entities at the moment, that would be very cool.
They could do a narrative campaign.
Exactly. I don't think it's quite there yet. And like we was also saying the other day, things like Epic and X-Wing, they've given new templates, and they've given a bunch of new cardboard, but they haven't really done anything further than that at this stage. So, you know, there's more to plumb in the Epic space. So there's lots of opportunities there. And like streamlining things, like there's lots of new mechanics and tokens, but are either quite similar or could just be repurposed without necessarily changing much in the way of the game. Like, for example,
rewrite of the rule book.
Exactly. So strain and deplete are basically similar mechanics, but one changes defense, one changes attack. That's not hard to just sort of like condense into some sort of mechanic that you can just call one thing. And there's very few, it's not like you can get a deplete or strain token from an action. It's all ship-based abilities and sort of side effects. So there's an awful lot you can tinker around with there. Tractor mechanics as well is a bit messy at the moment, because there's so many, they're just sort of like bolted on extra thoughts.
Well, it's kind of, there's three parts to it, isn't there? So you've got the movement part, you've got the reduction of agility part, and then you've got the remembering to give your opponent the 90
options rotate,
haven't you? So that is a little bit too clunky at the moment, and they all write arounds based on what was happening on the tournament scene, weren't it? Around the Nantes.
Basically, Nantes again. Damn Nantes.
Yeah, so it was basically a bit of an afterthought fix. How can we balance things more than anything else? And like I say, those probably need a bit of a rewrite in the rules around that.
Yeah. So not necessarily changing fundamentally, but it gives them a window into producing some new ship cards. I mean, this is the big opportunity, sort of like redoing some of the ship cards, because some of the older ships, you know, some of the ones that have just come across from version 1, pretty much as written, they just kind of copied the ability or something similar to the ability, didn't really think it through, just left it there, and then no, people aren't flying them. Like E-Wings are classics, they're just sitting on the shelf. A lot of Defenders are sitting on the shelf because they're too expensive for what they give you. You know, lots Kylo Ren's ability, kind of a bit redundant, really. No one ever uses.
All right, I used it quite a few times, you know.
But I suppose you don't take
charge there to use, then you go, all right, I use it because I'm going to get it back.
Exactly, but you don't fly Kylo for his ability, really, do you? He's considering Rey's ability by comparison is pretty hard hitting and important.
Yeah,
Kylo, and you think, I'm paying all the points for that. Fair enough, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So there's lots of opportunities to sort of like make those look a little bit tidier, improve them,
and just bring out faction card packs, fix that. Then
exactly.
You've got your existing cardboard little tile. They can issue out a new a new card.
Yeah.
And just like, you know, there are multiples of certain pilots in the current card pool as well. Like, you know, you look at Hera, Ezra, Sabina. No, she's not one, but there are others. Those.
Oh,
Yeah, Poe. There's loads. They've already started. FFG started along that route, so Asmodee could quite easily go, right, okay, we're going to rewrite, say, the E-Wing to actually be like a different E-Wing, a Mark II version that fixes the useless linked actions on there. And all of a sudden, you're like, everybody's using that because it's basically like a silencer.
Oh, exactly. And it cuts both ways as well, because you've got some ships that are just stupid powerful for the points, like a Fang fighter. I mean, gosh knows I love a Fang fighter, and they're really popular ships. But the problem with the Fang fighter is that they've got a really strong ship ability, really strong dial, really strong linked ability, and most of the ships that were flying with Fang fighters have got really good pilot abilities as well. So maybe just chopping and changing that. So either maybe getting rid of a ship ability or tweaking a ship ability, changing the pilots around, something like that, to make them a bit more balanced. Because
on the ships that aren't used, because we don't really want to change the ships we are using.
Well, I'd actually argue that if you're using a ship too often, that's probably there's a very good reason for it, and it probably means, you know, may just take a think about that. But certainly things like Phantoms.
Kirax, now C3 loves a Kirax, but
oh God.
Yeah,
man.
They just need a, what do you call it?
I need a linked action on them.
A linked action or a configuration. They've got opportunities. They can dump that on. And again, the one thing FJ have done them a favour with is, because most of it's like online, or, you know, you've got your PDF sheets for your ship configurations. Apart from the actual pilots and stuff on the cards, you can easily chop and change that and make all the changes you want to with the points pricing and the abilities. Anyway, I've been talking an awful lot. I'll ease off a bit because I'm obviously passionate.
You have, and that's sort of like the end of the show, really. So, right, so thank you everyone for watching. Hopefully we'll catch you next time. Click like and subscribe so you don't miss a thing. And this is the way.
Mandos, Mandos.